every child in the world, the first few years of life, creating the most optimal environment supports and promotes their development. For children who are affected by HIV, this context starts to deteriorate.
ECD provides an opportunity to mitigate the effect of HIV on the child's development.
Supervising Officer of the Ministry of Education and Human Resources, Tertiary Education and Scientific Research, esteemed international participants, representatives of development partners, NGOs and civil society, senior officials of the Ministry of Education, members of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I indeed feel deeply privileged to open the planning meeting of the Inter-Country Quality Node on Early Childhood Development. Indeed, I recall the official and ceremonial launch of the ICQN-ECD in February this year during the Sub-Saharan Africa Regional Ministerial Conference on Education post-2015. I then made a strong call to African countries to adhere to the ICQN-ECD and contribute to the well-being of Africa's children. I also indicated at that time the work that would have to be carried out by the Planning Committee in relation to the roadmap and the way forward. And here we are today, gathered for this purpose, and exactly 2 months after the launch. Allow me then, ladies and gentlemen, to take this opportunity to welcome such a high-level representation of international delegates from regional and international organizations engaged in advancing the cause of children. I also indeed need to reiterate that my ministry is honored to host and lead the ICQN on ECD. We have now been invested with a trust to go the extra mile and fulfill the new ECD mandate. Allow me to expatiate further on that. As we are aware, the ADA has established a new configuration for the ICQN, which is called upon to make a difference. We now need to go beyond the generation and dissemination of ECD-related knowledge to countries, useful as that is. I believe the new mission is really threefold. The first is the principle of sharing. The critical point to note is that no positive country experience is to remain siloed. Rather, it has to be shared. The second is the ownership attribute. By being engaged in an exchange of experience, countries can actually participate in a community of practice. And third, there is a recognition that while the improvement of quality is a national effort, it cannot reach fruition without regional cooperation, since no country can have all resources, the know-how and the how-to, and the know-how and the know-how to make that happen. Hence, because regional cooperation is expected to complement the national efforts, the ICQN-ECD has given itself the mandate to work very closely with partner organizations and regional economic communities. Distinguished guests, we are all here to live up to our promise for a better Africa. And early childhood development is central to sustainable development. In fact, providing ECD programs is recognized today as one of the most powerful equalizers in our society. It cannot be otherwise. The impact of early childhood development is so significant that no country can logically put it aside for later consideration. Of course, I can understand that at the time of competing priorities, some parts of the world are hard-pressed to fulfill this obligation. Indeed, in many developing countries, even those where some priority is attached to it, the ECD sector remains underfunded, with ECD policy framework being fragmented. But if we believe that the investing in ECD will help break the intergenerational cycle of poverty, that it will lead to an escape from the quagmire of illiteracy and economic inequality, then we realize that there is no alternative other than committing ourselves wholeheartedly to it. Ladies and gentlemen, I stated earlier that the approach of ECD in many countries is quite fragmented. In fact, in most countries, several ministries and departments are responsible for providing the essential services like health, nutrition, poverty, childhood protection, and education. While this may be inevitable for obvious reasons related to effective management and efficient delivery, the downside of it is that cross-sectoral synergies may not always have been realized. The concern was addressed during the Kigali meeting, and one of the outcomes was precisely the commitment taken for an integrated approach of ECCE, which requires collaboration between all relevant ministries, especially the ministries responsible for planning, education, health, nutrition, water, sanitation, social welfare, and security to build up early foundations for every child. A comprehensive view of the ECD thus necessitates a multi-sectoral policy design, integrated planning, and the coordinated interventions between and among sectors. I would be so bold as to request the experts here present to keep this golden rule in view as they embark on the charting out of the contours of the strategic plan for the ICQN. On the other hand, this state of affairs, this synergy, also has to be backed by commensurate funding to effectively cater for the holistic needs of young children. I would like here to appeal to participants in this planning meeting to make both of these facets fundamental caveats that should be shared and spread among the member countries. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, most of you know it, but I come from an academic background that has for long been steeped in biology, and so I believe you will understand my keenness to make an incursion into the domain when talking about the young child. Today, our understanding of children's development needs has advanced considerably, with compelling research findings in early childhood education and development in neuroscience. I cannot refrain from stressing that synaptic density, a factor associated with learning, is highest during infancy. It is in the early years that the brain is optimally flexible. It is this period of life that is critical for cognitive, linguistic, social, and emotional development of children. If this foundation is well managed, it paves the way for children's success in school and for them to become well-adjusted adults. Allow me to remind you of the universally agreed fact: early intervention through supportive conditions for early childhood development is more effective and less costly than attempting to redress the situation later through remedial classes or second chance programs. I cannot but stress, therefore, that we have to invest early. There is clear evidence that increased global investment in children under 8 years of age today builds a better educated and peaceful nation, a prosperous citizenry for tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, the world today is debating the post-2015 developmental agenda, and in all likelihood, the Sustainable Development Goals will include an objective related to children having access to quality early childhood development, care, and pre-primary education so that they are ready for primary schooling. Once adopted, this is likely to pose implementation challenges to some countries as they create policies and programs to meet the new sustainable goals. So we have to move fast. The ICQN has to move fast in the elaboration of a strategic plan for 2015-2017. Let me indicate to you what is subsequently in the pipeline. The strategic plan that will be an emanation of this meeting will be presented to member countries for validation, and after adoption by the high-level multi-country steering committee of the ICQN, this document aims to be a reference for African governments to implement ECD policies in their respective countries. Understand, dear experts, that by pressing you in your task, I'm putting you in a spot. But then, as international experts, with great track record in early childhood development, I'm confident that you will, and you will all meet the challenge with your usual poise and acumen. Rest assured that you will have my total support in this venture. Indeed, Mauritius is committed to make this venture a successful one, and our concerted efforts can only project us forward. The planning meeting, you will appreciate, is only the beginning, but it is a beginning that will set the tone for the future. And such a future is premised on the manifest hope that it can and will serve as a turning point in the life of the African child. Let us together make it happen for our children. I know that with our collective efforts, we can make a difference in our children's lives. Allow me then to end on this optimistic note and wish you an enriching exchange and highly fruitful deliberations. I have now the honor to declare the ICQ and UCD planning meeting open. Thank you very much.